Hello everyone, I got to see the film Shazam early, and on that note, I decided to re-rank my least favorite to most favorite DCEU film. Now this will go from Man of Steel all the way up to Shazam, all 7 films. I love each and every one of these films, some more than others, but what I love about the DCEU films is that each one has a different tone, a different feel to it. They're also different from each other, which made this ranking kind of difficult this time with the recent release of Shazam. So starting out with my least favorite at number 7 is Suicide Squad. I actually like the quality of how Suicide Squad is shot. I really think David Ayer did a good job with this. It's just the editing is everywhere. After that Bohemian Rhapsody trailer, they got a trailer company to edit the film, and it's just everywhere. It's kind of like a Guardians of the Galaxy-esque film. You have a lot of popular music in there, but I do love Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. She nails it. Jared Leto kind of has, an all-star Batman and Robin New 52 vibe to him with the tattoos and everything. They do pay some homage to Alex Ross. Will Smith, for me, makes the film as Deadshot. I love Jay Hernandez as El Diablo. You have Cara Delevingne as Enchantress. I actually think she does a good job. I don't think she's as bad as what people give her credit for. I love Viola Davis as Amanda Waller. We also have Katana, and then Joel Kinnaman as the leader of the Suicide Squad. Yeah. Here is Katana. She traps the souls of her victims with her sword. And then we have Killer Croc. Killer Croc's makeup was so well done. And you do get a Batman cameo. I like Ben Affleck's cameo as Batman with Deadshot and Harley Quinn. I just wish we had more interaction with the Joker. That being said, I think the major thing that holds this film back for me is that the Suicide Squad pretty much causes the conflict of the film. It's not like an outside force like Joker or another enemy. No, they're kind of responsible for Enchantress being the bad guy, so to speak, the villain. And they really create a lot of their own problems, but I do like how the team works. I like that kind of Assault on Precinct 13 vibe this film has for a while. And the flashbacks are really well done. That gangster scene by Kalani that's at Ace Chemicals with Joker and Harley is such an amazing scene that gives me goosebumps. I also love Will Smith's flashback doing mob hits. I like certain aspects of this film, and I can't wait to see what's explored with these characters moving on to Birds of Prey and this kind of pseudo reboot of The Suicide Squad with James Gunn directing. We'll just have to see where it goes, but for me, it's not my favorite DCEU film, even though it has better presentation as far as how it's shot. It's better looking than some of the other ones and has better effects, but it's just not my favorite. After that, at number 6 is Justice League. Now, this film arguably had more problems behind the scenes and within the film itself than Suicide Squad, but there's certain things that outweigh it for me that make it better than Suicide Squad. I love The Flash, Ezra Miller. Batman, even though he is a bit more like Tony Stark from the Avengers, he's not as dark and brooding, but I like his Bruce Wayne. Ben Affleck does a better job as Bruce Wayne in this, of trying to form the Justice League. Gal Gadot, straight out of Wonder Woman, I love her role in this. And I also like Superman. It is a bit jarring seeing Superman kind of smile and be more like the 20th century counterpart when we had a 21st century Superman. But after his death, he was more sure of himself. And he started to become the classic Superman. I love that part with Steppenwolf of truth and justice, and you hear the old Superman theme. Aquaman is awesome. My man. Then Ray Fisher as Cyborg is fantastic. It's just a shame that most of his stuff was cut because I really think he could have been the heart and soul of the film. And with him and his background with the mother box, we really could have had some cool tie-ins to Darkseid. Steppenwolf, this version I don't think was as scary as the one we saw in BVS. Yeah, this film was just cut up, reshot. It's kind of like the Richard Donner cut of Superman 2 to the theatrical cut of Superman 2. I really wish Zack Snyder got to make his film, and most of all, both his films with BVS and Justice League. But Justice League had the biggest casualties. They don't even try to hide the reshoots in between. Despite the negative stuff that made it a weak and mediocre film, I do like this film in some regard. It is a bit lighter. I love the dynamic of the Justice League, a lot of tie-ins to the 40s comics, J.K. Simmons as Commissioner Gordon, and that ending is a powerful ending of heroes and that classic Superman shirt rip. I love that. You can definitely tell which parts were Zack Snyder and which parts were Josh Whedon. And I still want to see a Snyder cut. Yes, hashtag release a Snyder cut. I don't want anybody telling me it doesn't exist when we see 50% of it in the trailers. There's something that exists. And if you can complete films that are 30 years old where the people are long gone, you can complete the Zack Snyder vision of Justice League. Above that at number 5 now, and this kind of hurts, but it's Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice, and more particular, the Ultimate Edition. I love this film. I love this film a lot. I wish Justice League continued what this film started. And this film was really cut up in the theatrical edition, but when I saw Zack Snyder's director's cut, it's pretty much what it should have been from day one. Yeah, it does a lot. They try to tie it into Justice League. Wonder Woman may have not have been needed. You have Lex Luthor. And I think he could have focused on the ideologies of Batman and Superman. But that being said, it has some awesome tie-ins to The Dark Knight Returns. Jesse Eisenberg is eccentric, Willy Wonka on crack, as I like to dub him. But you know what? He's kind of like that mad scientist Lex, that golden age 1940s Lex Luthor. I definitely think it's a different approach to Lex Luthor. And in the director's cut, you can definitely tell he's more of a villain. He's much more calculative, much more menacing. Doomsday is a bit silly. Clone of General Zod. But I like the Christ themes, how he dies the same way Jor-El does. And yeah, that final battle is awesome. The introduction of Wonder Woman is very well done. I even love the Martha scene. That's a very misunderstood scene. Batman realizes not only that Superman is a man, but that he basically became the person who killed his parents. He realized how far he went as the Dark Knight. This is a dark and brooding Batman. But before people say he never held a gun and did all this stuff, there's certain frames from the comic of Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller that Zack Snyder paid homage to. That warehouse fight is like an Arkham video game come to life. Clark and Lois's romance is done much better, and what I love about BVS is that it shows us what would the world be like if a Superman landed. And that's how a Superman would be treated in our world, the way that is shown in this film, and I love that, the whole Messiah complex. Lex being jealous of like that part where he's just like, I don't know how to lose, and he's like, you'll learn. I love that. All the way to the death of Superman. I just love that because Superman sacrifices himself. He realizes where he belongs, what his world is, even though he feels like he doesn't belong anywhere. But also, in a way, he inadvertently helps Wonder Woman and Batman reach their former selves, their full potential, the best of themselves, when they're kind of lost in this film. Overall, it's a really entertaining film. I love the action set pieces. That whole battle of Metropolis with Black Zero was just incredible. And I love Clark Kent investigating the Batman, going to Gotham City, and we get to see more of Clark Kent and Superman. The theatrical version was really more of a Batman film. The director's cut is really a Superman film. But I personally love BVS. It's one of my favorite DCEU films, one of my favorite films of the decade. And as much as I like it, though, I did feel like it tried to do too much, and that's what really holds it back. And what makes these other films higher on my list. Now at number 4 on my list is Shazam. Now, this was a hard thing to do because I love BVS. And Shazam and BVS are two totally different films. But looking at a film on its own, I really enjoy Shazam. It's big if it was a superhero film. With Tom Hanks, if he was a superhero. And I love this movie. I'm a little bit familiar with Shazam from the comics. This was heavily influenced by the New 52 series, but I remember when he was Captain Marvel. They managed to get the story of the New 52 with the personality of the classic Captain Marvel Shazam. Zachary Levi does an amazing job. I also like the villain of the Doctor, played by Mark Strong. I loved him as Sinestro, but he really rocks being a villain. He's very menacing, and I love the moments of tension and just stakes of this film. There's moments where it's dark. There's moments of comedy, yet there's action and most of all, heart. Family is what really makes this film. It's a deep film. I love Asher Angel as Billy Batson. It's cool seeing a kid become a superhero, and he's doing what everybody would do. I mean, what would you do if you had the powers of gods, of a superhuman being? What would you do? You'd be doing what Billy Batson's doing as Shazam. I love the relationship he has with the brothers, sisters, the family dynamic of it, but I also love him discovering his abilities, and there's a greater theme of responsibility and use and abuse of power. This is just a comic book come to life. I love Shazam. It's one of the best DCEU films and one of the best films of 2019. I haven't enjoyed a film this much in a while. And yeah, it's very hard ranking this, putting it in here with the DCEU films. But like I said, They all have different tones, and that's what makes it so great. You're never going to get the same film each time. You're never going to get a generic cookie cutter formula with one-liner jokes and stuff like that. Sure, it has some funny moments, but it's authentic humor. It's not done like a parody. There's real characters with real emotion, heart, things you care about. And that's one great thing about this film. But what I love about it is how it ties into the DC universe. It's not like BVS or Justice League where they want to create a franchise. Everything's almost like a teaser leading up to the real film. No. This is a standalone film with a beginning, middle, and an end, but it's still connected within the DC universe, and I love that. It's basically like a comic book come to life. But after that, at number 3 is Wonder Woman for me. I love Wonder Woman. Patty Jenkins did a fantastic job with this film. And yeah, this is right after BVS, but it's a flashback to that photograph from BVS, and I love it, seeing Chris Pine as Steve Trevor, the cast there. Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor kind of being fishes out of water, him visiting Themyscira with the Amazonian women, the Amazonian warriors. And then you have Diana, who's Diana Prince now, visiting the world of man. She's in London. She goes to the war front in World War One. That whole no man's land sequence is inspiring and just badass at the same time. I love the whole twist with Ares, the god of war. That was done very well. Patty Jenkins definitely took a lot of influence from Superman the movie, directed by Richard Donner, and this is one of the best origin tales. And it was great seeing Wonder Woman finally brought to the big screen. Gal Gadot does a wonderful job. She is Wonder Woman. She makes the role, and she embodies every great thing about the character. She has a certain elegance, yet fierceness about her as a warrior, as Wonder Woman. And yeah, this is just an awesome movie, all the way down to the score. I love that Wonder Woman theme, such an awesome theme. And kind of tragic in, but yet hopeful of her future, And I can't wait to see where Wonder Woman 84 goes. Who knows what's going to happen, but it's nice getting a backstory to where Wonder Woman was in BVS, Justice League, her mindset, and what influenced her decisions in the present day, seeing her past and what made her the woman she is today. Such an amazing movie, one of the best DCEU films. Number 2 is Aquaman. Aquaman and Wonder Woman are really close together, but the third act really is what wins me over with Aquaman. Aquaman is another well-done origin story. Arthur Curry. Nobody's going to make any fish jokes about Aquaman. Jason Momoa is just a badass as Arthur Curry, even though he is a bit of a jerk at the beginning. I like it because it sets up the villain of Black Manta. We also have another villain played by Patrick Wilson, King Orm, a.k.a. Ocean Master. This is one DC film where, yeah, it's cheesy in some parts, but it starts off kind of grounded, a little bit lighter than Justice League. But what I love about it is that it's not afraid to embrace its comic book roots, and it makes it work. It goes all out. I love the classic suit. I love the romance with Aquaman and Mera. Amber Heard does a fantastic job. I love William Dafoe as Volko in the film. And then you have his mother played by Nicole Kidman. Jango Fett's dad. Yeah, I love that whole backstory and what happened with his mother. And he never really belongs to any world, even though he was born on the Earth realm, on land. He's not really from there, and he's not really from underwater, from Atlantis. He's kind of shunned and kind of looked down upon on both worlds in some degree, until he starts becoming a hero. And I love that because there's that great quote of like, what can be greater than a king? And it's like, a king only serves himself and his nation. A hero helps everyone but himself. And I love that. I'm paraphrasing there, but I love that part. And that really embodies Aquaman. That final fight, Julie Andrews' cameo as a creature. Oh my God. That final fight was totally like in Justice Gods Among Us. I love it. It's pretty much Man of Steel for the sea. And yeah, it has some great moments, especially in the land scene with Black Manta. The whole Pinocchio scene and different things like that. Overall, Aquaman was a blast from beginning to end. And yeah, it rocked the 7 seas. Above that, for me, at my number 1 is still Man of Steel. Man of Steel is just an awesome Superman movie. I was not looking forward to this when it first came out, when it was first announced. I was like, really? But Henry Cavill won me over. Zack Snyder rocked it with David S. Goyer writing and Christopher Nolan. This film was awesome. This is how Superman should have been. It's a 21st century Superman. It's a first contact story. It's almost like Independence Day if it was a superhero film. I love that opening on Krypton alone. Russell Crowe as Jor-El, that whole fight, Hans Zimmer's score. Oh my god. That final fight was straight out of the comics and like Dragon Ball Z. I love his whole backstory, how it's set up in flashbacks, but really, he's a person that's afraid to use his power because of how the world will perceive him. I'm not 100% okay with Jonathan Kent though. That tornado is still bullshit. I don't care what people say. That's bullshit. Any other incarnation of Clark Kent would have helped his father with or without powers, and that tornado is just bullshit. I digress though. I love the little nods there with like Wayne Enterprises, LexCorp, the casino that belongs to Energang that's a hint of Darkseid. Oh man, that fight scene, I love it where it's just like, you took everything from me. And then Superman's there, is like, you're a monster, Zod, and I'm gonna stop you. I love that. That part was awesome. The part with the black suit, the skulls. Him and Lois, their relationship is a bit forced, but I like how they work together. I love the cinematography here. Feora is awesome. I hope she comes back. She was in the Phantom Zone. I would love to see her and Wonder Woman fight. And yeah, General Zod, Michael Shannon. I will find him! I love his General Zod. I just wish they had him say nil before Zod. And that ending is a bit crazy. I wish he put his hand over his eyes for heat vision. He snapped his neck, man. That was crazy. But David S. Goyer's reason was that it stopped him from killing in the future. He killed the last of his kind. And I can see that. But there might have been other ways to go about it, but I don't feel as ill about it as other people. I don't think it was that controversial. You know, he crushed Zod's hand in the other one and just threw him out of the fortress and let him die, and he didn't feel sorry about it. Henry Cavill was broken. His Clark was broken. And who could forget Lawrence Fishburne as Perry White and that iconic ending of Welcome to the Planet. Perfect ending. This is one of the best Superman films and is my favorite DCEU film after all these years. Yeah. I love it. Man of Steel is just epic. Anyway, that does it for my ranking of the DCEU films. If you want a more in-depth video, feel free to check out my last ranking I did 2 months ago when Aquaman came out. And feel free to let me know your personal ranking down in the comments below from your least favorite to most favorite films out of the DCEU. And if you haven't seen Shazam, well then come back here in April and let me know your ranking. You can also follow me at Stardust, Fred Film Fanatic, for more reactions. Like, comment, and subscribe for more videos. Don't forget to check out these other videos on my channel. Till next time.